I'm Sam.
And I'm Max.
And this is Movie Nostalgia, where we give you an honest review of the movies we've meddled with so mischievously over at Maybe Movies. And this time, we're talking about the classic Godzilla, or as we know it in the West, Godzilla. This is the 1954 movie, directed by Ishiro Honda, featuring the talents of Akira Takarada, Momoko Kochi, Takeshi Shimomura, and Akihiko Hiramata.
And also, not to be forgotten, and if I get it right, Haruo Nakajima as the eponymous Godzilla.
Oh, of course.
A role that he would go on to play in the 12 subsequent films featuring Godzilla.
Oh, so he was the box... Oh, yes.
He was the same actor played Godzilla right up until about 1974.
He genuinely developed that role then over the years.
Yes. Although apparently originally there were supposed to be two actors in the suit.
Oh, right.
And the other guy, whose name I don't know, I'm sorry, but most of his scenes got cut because he was about 20 years older than Haruo was at the time, and just the strain on the body was too much for him.
Okay, so he just couldn't take it.
Put it this way, even Haruo, when he was doing it, could only shoot for a few minutes at a time, because they were shooting obviously under studio lights in the middle of summer.
Under foam rubber.
Yeah, and so the suit would get could get up to 60 degrees centigrade, and he frequently he would pass out frequently.
Yeah, I'm not surprised. Well, that's like 130 degrees.
Yeah.
It's a lot to take in. And we are so grateful for his efforts. Let us be honest here. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Just before we go any further, just wanted to say as well, again, as you probably saw at the beginning there, just wanted to say to Davina and to Karl's family as well that our thoughts are with you at this time, and he will be sorely missed. This one for me, I mean, like many people, I think our generation, my introduction to Godzilla was the cartoon. Godzilla! That was the first thing that I ever saw.
Oh, right.
Yeah. I think I was aware of the films, but I'd never seen any of them. So that was my introduction to it. And from then it was like a smattering of the various sequels. But I didn't get to watch the original Godzilla until I bought that for when we did it on Maybe Movies.
Goodness me.
Yes. So that's only, 2 years ago, which is
Wow.
shameful to say.
For me, it's a slightly different story. I can't tell you exactly when I saw this film the first time, but I do know that I was still in America as a small child, so I was probably 6 or 7 years old. There was a TV presenter called Ashley Gaskley who used to host late night horror movies on Friday nights, and on Saturday mornings would host screenings of Godzilla movies. That's where I got my introduction. It was the movies before the cartoon for me. Having said that, this is the original Japanese version. It's got subtitles, it's got all of the original footage from the Japanese version in it. This is not the version I saw as a child.
I was about to say, because you would have seen the American version?
I saw the American version that had like 20 odd minutes of extra footage. I think it was Orson Welles who was the main narrator for the American segments of the film. And it's an entirely different story. In the American version, it's more like a disaster movie that's constantly ongoing. And Orson Welles is updating you to the latest activities of the monster.
I think it might be Raymond Burr.
Yeah, could be.
Yeah.
Could be. It's been a while, buddy.
Because again, I must admit, I've not seen the American the American version of this, so I don't know. But I heard Raymond Burr's name mentioned in something with connection with it.
It could be. He had a similar gravitas.
Yes.
George, the tanks have been wiped out by a wall of flames. Neither man nor his machines are able to stop this creature.
It's an entirely different experience. Most of the emotional core of this movie is removed in the American version. So what I grew up with was quite a lot different. And I'll be honest, kind of prefer the version I saw as a kid. Now, I appreciate this as a work of art, and it is a work of art, and a very timely one at that.
Yes. Well, it is. It's the movie that gave us Suitmation, as they call it now.
Well, that's true, but also the commentary on Hiroshima, Nagasaki, and the nuclear age.
That was the thing. I mean, looking up a bit more, and it's not so much. There isn't that much on the features on this. They touch on it a little bit, a lot of it, and the opening scene is a direct reference to it. So apparently, I can't remember the guy. It's not. Honda, the director,
Ishiro Honda.
Yeah, co-wrote the script, but the original story was by another guy. He had been working at the time on, it was supposed to be, I think it was more of a romance, that was supposed to be a joint Japanese-Indonesian production. And he'd flown out to Jakarta to speak to the film people out there, and there was still a lot of anti-Japanese sentiment at the time in Indonesia, and the project fell through. And it was while he was flying back that he got the idea of this. What it is, yes, a commentary on, as you say, the nuclear age, and on the bombings at the end of the Second World War. More so, it was a commentary on Bikini Atoll. Because when they did the first test, obviously the Americans said, it's all going to be safe, we're miles away from anywhere. But there was a Japanese fishing boat 70 miles away from Bikini Atoll that got showered in radioactive dust. And all of the fishermen came down with radiation burns. 2 of them, I think, died. Also, following on from that, apparently it rained for almost a week in Japan. And there was a high radiation content in the rain.
Oh, goodness me. Right.
Shoals of fish had to be just thrown back into the sea because they were all irradiated.
See, this I didn't know. This is news to me.
I only found out from, again, there's a bit on the commentary about it.
But I can see what you're saying. Yes, of course, yes. 54, I mean, the Bikini Atoll test
in 54.
Were they 54?
It was around the same time. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I'm pretty sure the information I saw said 54.
Well, okay.
So take that with a pinch of salt. If you know better than me, then you know better than me. I'm sure somebody in the room will correct us.
I'm sure they will.
So that's why the whole bit with the fishing boat at the beginning is a direct reference to...
A direct reference,
yeah.
Right. You see, I didn't know about that at all.
It's like I picked up on it at the end in Professor Shamane's final speech, when he says, when will they stop experimenting?
Of course, yes, because there could be more.
Yeah.
There could be more.
Xadrum is more than just curious content on YouTube. We're also a small publishing house, with books covering a range of genres from 1940s pulp adventure to children's novels, and even a touch of the macabre for those who like their literature on the dark side. Our titles are available in both paperback and ebook formats. Ebooks are available on Amazon, but physical copies can only be bought exclusively through our website at xadrum.com. Jeff's got enough cash as it is, so why not help us little guys grow and thrive? Links can be found in our banner and in the description to all of our videos, and we look forward to helping you indulge your itch for escapism. It's my turn, isn't it, to do...
Oh, it is totally your turn to do the thing. Yes.
Yes, so, I mean, do you need me to give you the synopsis for this? Really?
Honestly, in the modern age, there must be quite a few people who haven't seen the original.
Well, I mean, most of what I've just said, it kind of covers the nucleus of why this film exists. It was a commentary on Japan's fear of total nuclear annihilation, as well as the environmental impact that the nuclear age brought with it. And again, as I say, it's also to do with Bikini Atoll, but also because it was an excuse to do a big monster movie. And I know certainly the, I can't remember his name, but the special effects guy who was brought on board, who was a huge fan, not surprisingly, of King Kong.
Which isn't that far from surprising when you consider that the second Godzilla movie was, in fact, Godzilla versus King Kong.
Exactly. So it was his opportunity to do that, but unfortunately, he discovered that there just wasn't the talent for doing stop motion in Japan at the time. I think he estimated that if they'd done it stop motion, it would have taken them 7 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow, that was an underfunded industry.
So obviously with the time that they had, it just wasn't possible, so he came up with this idea, well, let's build a suit. But yes, sorry, I'll get back to the actual synopsis. This is the story of Godzilla, a huge nuclear-created prehistoric monster that appears around the waters around Japan following various nuclear tests, here to remind humanity of its place in the grand scheme of things, and the efforts of those amongst the Japanese people to try and save themselves. And the world, ultimately.
Indeed.
That's all you really need to know. Go watch it.
It's the film that spawned an entire genre of films, giant monster movies, whether they were produced in Japan, Europe, England, America, all owe their heritage to this film. If you've ever seen a giant monster movie, then you should know this is the movie that started the trend. Without this movie, you wouldn't have your favourite beastie.
Complete with radioactive fire and everything.
I loved the radioactive fire.
I remember when I went to see the Gareth Edwards one, when that first came out, and they said, I don't care, as long as he breathes radioactive fire.
yeah. No, they did it really well in that
They
one
did,
as well.
yes.
When they did the nuclear breath, it was really well done. But we're getting sidetracked.
We are getting sidetracked. Although, I am going to stay sidetracked for just a little bit longer, if that's okay, because we can't really talk about this without talking about possibly the greatest thing that this thing spawned, which is Godzilla -1, which, if you've never seen it, just do. It takes all of the emotional elements of this, as well as all of the big monster action, and puts them together. You know, we were talking about it while we were watching. I think I figured out now why it's called Godzilla -1, because that Godzilla movie is predominantly post-World War II. That is supposed to be set late 40s, whereas the original Godzilla, as far as I'm aware, is supposed to be set
in the
contemporary
50s.
in the 50s.
In the 50s. Oh, I see. Right.
So
So it is -1. It is not a prequel, but a predecessor.
Yes, that's my thinking.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I could buy that for $1.
I'd buy that for $1.
But yeah, if you haven't seen that, do go and see it. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. And that one I am glad I got to see at the cinema. It was like the last showing here in Norwich.
Yeah.
And it was like a lunchtime showing.
I still haven't watched it all the way through.
Oh, you should. You should. Anyway, sorry. Tangent.
Tangent.
But this was it was an interesting one to do on the show. And again, if we were going to do it, because as we always say, with maybe movies, we have the entirety of cinema to play with. So it had to be the one to do. It's going to be this one and not the 90s one.
Oh, God, no. Not the American one. No. Naughty. No. Flick, flick, flick. No. Just stop it.
What he said. But it's interesting that you weren't really sort of a bit nonplussed by it. Was it that the human element? I mean, again, just coming back to the Gareth Edwards one now, I understand why he was so hell bent on making the human drama the focus of the film, because there's a huge amount of it more in the original version.
Absolutely. And that totally makes sense. And I agree with that. What I disagree with is his treatment of the monster during the film. I enjoy it. I do. I love Godzilla, but what I love is
Full monster action.
mid-Shinwa era. Is it Shinwa? Shinwa era of Godzilla. Man in a suit. Doing this, and boxing, and dancing around, and monster on monster action. The chaos of giant things stomping all over tiny towns. Like I said, I was 6. This is what I grew up on. I love it. But I love that about it. And even though I can really appreciate the gravitas of this story, it's not my Godzilla. Not yet. It's pre-Godzilla for me.
Interesting.
It's the original idea that led to what I love.
Which is probably why I maybe have a bit more of an appreciation for it, because I saw it as an adult.
Yeah.
And even the Godzilla films that I saw as a kid, a lot of the times it was bits and pieces. And the ones that I really saw was when we used to go on holiday to France. Because some of my mum's friends who used to go and visit out there, their son, Jean-Jacques, was hugely into Japanese, because there was more of a Japanese wave in France than there was here. Or there was one earlier.
All right, maybe earlier. I was going to say there was a Japanese wave in the late 80s on Channel 4.
Oh, but I'm talking early 80s.
Ah, right, okay.
When I was a kid, we used to go over every year for like 2 weeks on holiday.
Right, yeah.
But certainly a lot more of the older Godzilla films I saw out there.
Ah, right.
Than here. Because again, I was more, as we were discussing I think before, I sort of caught more of the Hong Kong wave and the Kung Fu films.
Kung Fu.
Than I did of the monster movies.
All right, yeah.
So that's what I said at the beginning. My introduction to Godzilla was the cartoon.
Yes. Well, it's interesting. I mean, because realistically speaking, the cartoon actually came out in America in like 1980. I remember watching it when I was in the States.
Okay, of course it would have.
Yeah, which it was ironic because, of course, it had Godzuki in it, and I didn't know that there was, in fact, Son of Godzilla.
Yes.
So Godzuki was already a thing, but I hadn't seen that particular movie at that point. And I was like, how?
Yeah, I must admit, that one I did enjoy when I first saw that one, Son of Godzilla. That was funny.
Yes, when Godzilla slaps him about like a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stabs on his tail to make him get the fire right.
Yeah.
I did hear a nice little bit of trivia about this. So when they were sort of plotting things, Ishiro Honda and again a guy, it's EIG, and I can't remember his surname, who was the special effects director. They were up on it was like the roof of a building in Tokyo.
All right, yeah.
And it was like a public area, and they were stood there and they were plotting out the routes that Godzilla would take through the city.
Oh, okay.
And some tourists overheard them and they got stopped by the police and had to explain what they were doing.
Really? All right. Well, that's interesting because, I mean, there is that bit when the reporters are describing it goes through this neighbourhood, then this neighbourhood, then this neighbourhood.
That makes it, yeah.
Yeah, all right. Okay, so that's where that scene came from. Okay.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I'd say if you've never seen it, give it a look. Definitely.
Oh, it's totally worth a watch. If you're at all a fan of giant monster movies, like I said, this is the original. This is the proto-beast. This is the beast from which all other beasts derive. If you really consider yourself a fan of monster movies, you should watch it at least once in your life.
It's going to be a difficult one to rate, because do I rate it on its qualities as a film, or do I rate it on its nostalgia value? And it's kind of harder. I think it's another one that's going to get a 1.5. 1, definitely A, for the nostalgia value, and B, for just being, it's a decent film. But it's a half because it is slow, and for a film that's about an hour and a half, it feels a lot longer. It does tend to drag in places, so I'm giving it a 1.5.
Which is interesting, because I am also going to give it 1.5 for almost exactly the same reasons. It's worth your time, it's a great monster movie, it's worth watching once. But unless you are a super fan...
I am your biggest fan.
As Max said, it's slow, it has a lot of emotional elements that aren't traditionally a part of what you would consider a monster movie, or the average viewer would consider a monster movie. It's just a tiny bit self-indulgent compared to what we're used to in the modern age. And for that, unfortunately, it does suffer the half thumb.
I am going to need some help.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. What we need to do is perfectly simple, all above board. You're not going to get any trouble, nothing illegal or anything. We just need to move this totally not cursed English abbey from here to its new home in America. It's fine, I've booked a plane. What's the worst that can happen?
Indeed, folks.
We'll see you next time.
As always, guys, TT Fan.